気のカス冷たい夢の中で
Hello and welcome to Aniview Solo Reviews. I'm Lyzl and today I'm going to be reviewing Loveless. So Loveless was made by JC Staff in 2005, it's 12 episodes long, and it's a drama, fantasy, mystery, shonen ai series. Loveless follows Ritsuka Aoyagi, a 12-year-old just starting the new school year. There he meets Sobe Ayatsuma, a 20-year-old friend of Ritsuka's brother, who was murdered a few months ago. After talking with Sobe for some time, he learns that he must now fight with him in magical duels of fighter and sacrifice in order to avenge his brother's death. Their codename, Loveless. So I found Loveless to be a pretty interesting shonen ai series, and personally it's my first completed series, so it does have a special place in my heart. It doesn't follow the typical boy meets, well, boy storyline, so that does have an interesting factor to it. Instead, you have these cool battle scenes of fighter and sacrifice, and seeing them all happen in this sort of tournament mystery structure actually makes for a pretty cool series. So, overall, I found it to be a fairly memorable mix. The animation in Loveless is fairly pastel, which is typical of shonen ai series. However, it does work for the series, so I'm not going to hold it against it. I particularly enjoyed the battle animations because they were actually done quite well and made the scenes seem really interesting. For its sound, I found the soundtrack fairly likable. However, it was lacking in innovation and just felt like they were a bit lazy with it overall. The opening and ending in particular were nothing to write home about. Alright, so moving on to Loveless's actual storyline, it follows a sort of mystery monster of the week style, with a building romance in the background. You learn about Ritsuka's brother, and the danger he was in, and what kind of organization he was part of, and how was he involved in these magical duels. And so that's part of the mystery. How did his brother get murdered? Why? And all of that is part of what Ritsuka's learning throughout the series. On the other hand, you have them battling these other sacrifice fighter pairs in these magical duels. And I've got to say, even if you're not a fan of shonen ai whatsoever, the magical duels in this are actually pretty cool to watch. You have the fighter who uses magical attacks, which are in the form of words or phrases which are used to attack the other fighter sacrifice team. And so you've got the fighter which are using these attacks, and the sacrifice which, whenever they're hit with an attack, get these chains put on them. Yes, I know, very shonen ai-esque, but basically get these chains put on them, and those chains cause them pain, and therefore, once you have enough chains, once you're completely sort of isolated, you're defeated in these magical duels. And they actually worked really well. I found that you had this excitement factor in them, and the different types of spells they used, the different opponents they fought, were all really interesting. So I would say that that's probably the most interesting aspect of this series. They also did delve into a few themes in this series. In particular, they had the theme of memories and how words can affect others. So, for the words theme, you had the battles, which were done with magical spells that were cast by saying words, and it was kind of interesting because what a lot of the characters would use is words like cut or destroy or hurt. And those kind of words, it's almost just like insulting the other person. And it's not so much the spell that hurts them, it's the words themselves. And so it's kind of reflecting or a metaphor for how words can actually hurt other people. And this is also shown through Ritsuka, who has an abusive mother, and so he's used to having verbal abuse as well. As for the memories part, well, I wouldn't say it's as reflected in this series, but there is the portion of time where Ritsuka is really trying to develop these memories. He feels like he doesn't remember his brother very well and wants to actually build memories with every friend he makes now because he never wants to forget them, like he's starting to forget his brother because he doesn't have many memories with him. And so it did have some interesting themes, but I did feel that they weren't exactly fully explored, even if they were there. There's also cat ears in this series. So they serve a purpose, if you can call it that, where characters with cat ears still on them means that they're basically a virgin. And so characters who are quote-unquote mature don't have cat ears anymore, such as Sobe. So it was a pretty interesting use of cat ears in the series and makes for a lot of amusing jokes. So I actually found it kind of amusing, but I can feel that a lot of people are probably turned off by this, so I thought I'd give you a fair warning about it. Alright, I think the probably most disappointing aspect of Loveless, though, is its ending. It's really a drop right off the earth, read the manga ending. It finishes nothing that the series started out with, and you really don't get much of an idea of how the storyline would progress or what the mystery is or anything that you really want wrapped up in the series. And so that is a huge disappointment, and basically is one of the biggest reasons you might not want to watch the show. Also, the other reason being that it's a Shonen Ai series. Alright, so let's get into characters now. Ritsuka is a strong, if whiny, and a bit brooding main character. Especially for the yaoi fangirls, I'm pretty sure the tortured and innocent little boy that he is would work really well for them, but for the most part, he's not that exciting of a character, and mostly is just a whiny and broody little kid. And then we'll go on to Sobe, who is, I found, very stiff as a main character. He's basically just forcing himself upon Ritsuka throughout the series, and he's basically the reason all the yaoi/shonen ai stuff happens throughout the series, even if Ritsuka supposedly doesn't want it to happen. I think it would have been better if he had a little bit more deep of a character, more of an interesting relationship with Ritsuka, and was a little bit less robotic of a main character. We also have Yuiko, who is a classmate of Ritsuka's, and she's mostly just the inquisitive, annoying little girl character that's trying to pry into everything that's happening, and it's driving you insane. No, I liked her as a main character, definitely. No, I mean, she's the pink-haired lolly chick that's just annoying throughout the series. And so I found that, I don't know, she was probably my most annoying little character throughout the series. And while she did serve a role in making Ritsuka sort of come out of his shell, it didn't really do all that much and mostly just annoyed me. Many of the side characters in the series are fun, but overall there isn't too many of them. You have Ritsuka's teacher, who is quote-unquote immature for her age, seeing as she still has her cat ears on, and that is the butt of many jokes throughout the series. You also have many of the different enemies they fight throughout the series, because they are doing these magical battles. And in particular, I found the Zeros pretty cool, which are people who have lost their ability to feel pain, which made them have a cool advantage in battle. And a lot of the other characters were pretty cool too in these magical battles. So overall, I felt the series could have used a little bit deeper and more developed characters, a little bit more dimensions to them. However, I guess they all fulfilled their roles, and for a 13-episode series, you can't ask for that much more. So I'm going to give Loveless 3.5 out of 5 stars. I think it's a good series, and it's fun to watch, but there's a lot of reservations with this series. The ending is terrible, it's a shonen ai, so it's going to turn off a lot of people, and it doesn't have that deep characters. However, if you can get past that and you just want to see some cool battles, an interesting storyline, go ahead and watch this series. You'll probably have a good time, and when you're done, it was only 13 episodes, so why not give it a shot? So, if you have any questions, comments, or requests, you can send them to aniview@hotmail.com or send us a comment on our YouTube page. You can also contact us on our forums at aniviewreviews.com. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.